Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, Arsenal willing to pay 60 million euros for Joao Nevez. Benfica, however, rates the player higher than that. Manchester United are also interested. Benfica sources believe both Arsenal and Manchester United will eventually offer an offer higher than 60 million euros for the player. Joao Nevez, for your information, is one of the top two targets for Arsenal at defensive midfield after Martin Zubimendi. Hit that button, subscribe to the channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through everything you need to know about Joao Nevez because he's just a 19-year-old who's played 41 games at DM. So many people don't know about him. A person who does research like me could actually have a better insight. But also, we're going to be diving into much about this deal. Could it happen? What is the likelihood we'd get him? What is the likelihood we could beat Manchester United to sign him? And also, will Benfica negotiate the release clause, which is 120 million euros? So let's start off with who is this guy and how good is he? Why are they, Benfica, asking for more than 60 million euros in a 19-year-old? So, Joao Nevez is a 19-year-old Portuguese midfielder. His full name is Joao Pedro Goncalves Nevez. He's going to be at the Euros this summer. So as you watch Portugal, you might be able to watch him. Obviously, Portugal have a lot of players in the position. They have Vitinha there. They have Joao Palhinha there as well. So you might not be able to see him, but he's one of the really top talents at the Euros. If we get a chance to see him, you'll absolutely appreciate him. Now, in terms of his market value, is 55 million euros. That is how good he is. Like, he's just 19. He's played one season, and his market value is already skyrocketing to 55 million euros. And of course, he's got a release clause of 120 million euros. If you want to sign him without negotiating with Benfica, you've got to pay 120 million euros. Preferably, he plays at DM. He's played 41 games at DM for Benfica and just 9 games, for Benfica, in central midfield. That tells you that he's a specialized defensive midfielder, just like the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, just like the likes of Yusuf Fofana. Now, although all these players we are linked with can play in that CM role. Again, Joao Nevez can play in that CM role, but we have not seen them. We have not seen him there frequently. We have not seen him play there a lot of the time. And when you look at his numbers, 41 games at defensive midfield. That is where his future is. That is where he actually wants to play. And with Thomas Partey's future not being 100% certain, I would say, we'll talk about it later. It looks like this guy could be a boy we bring in. Now, in terms of his numbers, 41 games at DM, like I said, 9 at CM. He assisted 2 times last season and scored 3 goals. Obviously, when you look at the position, Partey, Jorginho, Rodri, they're not. It's not a position where you're going to have a lot of goals. Of course, for a really advanced player like Rodri, you're going to have around 5 goals maybe, or 5 goals and 5 assists. But when we think about DM generally, defensive midfielders generally, they don't score a lot of goals and they don't assist much. So I don't want people in my inbox saying, oh, Cossy, why would we sign him? He actually didn't score a lot of goals. Not really. He's actually such a very, very good lad. So, what do we know about this deal and what are we hearing in the papers online? Is a deal happening and are Arsenal really interested? So I can confirm that Arsenal are really interested. That is according to The Athletic. They reported interest in Joao Nevez almost 3 months ago, and they said Arsenal are very much interested in Joao Nevez. And also Fabrizio Romano confirmed that Arsenal are one of the clubs monitoring closely the development of Joao Nevez. We did send in a couple of scouts at Benfica games to watch him. Obviously, sending scouts doesn't mean that he's the guy you're signing. Sending scouts means you're looking at different talents. We could have sent scouts to watch around 2-3 Benfica players, but at least Fabrizio Romano says he is one of the players they have been watching in Portugal. The Athletic also said that he's one of the players that Arsenal really consider top priority in terms of DM, especially if Partey is to leave. And the second player is Martin Zubimendi. Now, with Martin Zubimendi, we know that he doesn't want to leave Spain. He doesn't want to move to Arsenal. But also, Arsenal look at him as a player who has some deficiencies in his style of play, profile, and game. So that means that at the moment, before we get any concrete targets, Joao Nevez is Arsenal's #1 priority at DM. that doesn't mean it's happening as well, but that means that in terms of who Arsenal will try to get, Joao Nevez is definitely up there. Now, Arsenal want to pay 60 million euros, like we have seen in this article coming out today. Arsenal are willing to place 60 million euros on the head of this boy. Just 60 million euros. Am I okay with that? I'll tell you later. But that is where Arsenal are. I'm also told that Manchester United, sent in a 60 million euro bid for Joao Nevez, and that bid was actually rejected right away. So it's clear that Benfica value him at something bigger than that. They don't want to, they don't want to take any amount that they don't believe in. All right. So Arsenal not willing to trigger the 120 million euro clause. That is also true. And the other thing is that the price must come down for Arsenal to see themselves doing this deal. I agree with that. You cannot pay 120 million euros for a 19-year-old who has played just one game. But when we think about the talent, when we think about the opportunity, I think Arsenal are looking in the right direction, and this boy could be the future of DM for Portugal, but also for one big club. That could be Arsenal. Now, who else is interested apart from Arsenal? Man United are interested, Man City are interested, and Barcelona. So one of the things I like about this deal is that we don't have small underdog clubs backing in this deal. Like, you're not hearing any sound of dogs in this deal. It is the big boys. Manchester United, we know they've spent hundreds of millions before on players. Manchester City, obviously, they have the spending power. Barcelona, they don't have the spending power, but it will be very interesting to see if they can, still have the gravitational pull to pull in a player like Joao Nevez against Arsenal, Man United, and Man City. And also, secondly, they've not been so bad, Barcelona, in terms of negotiating deals recently. So I won't be surprised if eventually Barca, they do their thing and they get Joao Nevez. Obviously, they have Gavi in that team. They have they have Pedri and Fami Lopez. They just need one more little boy, one more player that can play at DM, replace Sergio Busquets, and everything is going to be okay. So in terms of competition, where I see Arsenal, I think it's Man City that really are threatening us. Apart from Man City, I think we can beat Manchester United on this signing, and we also can beat Barcelona on this signing as well, especially if we tell him, you are going to be a starter. I mean, that would be a lie, but you can lie to him, and in the next 2 years, that can be a reality, right? So let's talk about the difficulty of the deal. How likely is this deal to happen this summer? Can we make it happen? Can Arsenal make it happen? So first and foremost, Benfica want to keep him. They don't want to sell. They're actually not actively selling him. So you can think about the likes of Antonio Silva. That one might be up for sale, the centre back, and a couple of other players in that Benfica squad. But when it comes to Joao Nevez, they are not thinking about it. They are not considering it. And that's why they're saying, situation doesn't change. We don't want to sell. If you don't want to trigger, then you will not be triggered. So there's no deal without that clause being triggered. That's what Benfica are saying. Fabrizio says that position is not going to change. However, a couple of reports think if Arsenal go in with 80 million, if you go in with maybe 75 million, maybe they might want to listen. Maybe they might want to negotiate. But at the moment, it's still a very difficult deal. Right. On the player side, usually such deals happen because the player is pushing. Remember Bruno Fernandes at Sporting Lisbon, one of the players that moved in January because they were pushing for a move out of Lisbon to Manchester United. So on the player side in this one, they don't have any reason to rush, and they're not rushing, and they're not pushing this deal out of Benfica. So that's where the problem again is for Arsenal. If you want to sign him, and if you want to get him through the door, you want support from the players come. Unless we can have support from the players come, at the moment, looks like we have to pay 120 million euros, or there is no deal. So in terms of the difficulty of the deal, I would say not simple at all. I mean, when you're playing games, you have easy, you have amateur, you have hard, you have pro, and then I don't know what the other level, I think legend, right? I think this, in terms of difficulty, is a pro deal. Why I don't think it's a legendary difficulty deal, I don't think it's 100% undoable, because that 120 million euros, you find a serious club, they will trigger it. But of course, it's not Arsenal. So in terms of Arsenal signing him, I would say it's a pro difficulty deal. It's one where you have to negotiate a lot with Benfica, negotiate a lot with the player, take your time. It's a deal that could take a whole summer, with a likelihood that it happens or it doesn't happen. That's why I think it's a very, very difficult deal. But in terms of being difficult, doesn't mean it can happen. So what is the likelihood that it happens? So I would say 50% it happens, 50% it fails. This is why I think 50% it happens. Arsenal have him among the top 2 priority players, and locking him into that category means that they already know the requirements. They know what Benfica are going to be asking for, and they probably think their offer is good enough for Benfica, and Benfica could be able to, lower their standards. So that's why I think Arsenal are really saying he's our top 2, top 3 target. Secondly, I don't think Arsenal are going to get the DM targets that they are looking at. When you look at Douglas Luiz, that story doesn't rub me the right way. I am not 100% convinced that I'm not 100% convinced that Luiz is going to stand for Arsenal, or Villa will want to sell to Arsenal, right? So when you consider that Zubimendi is not coming, Guimaraes is not coming, we are left with 2 options. We are left with Youssef Fofana. We are also left with Joao Nevez. Obviously, you have the likes of Mats Vijver, who I like a lot at Feyenoord. So that could happen if he doesn't go to Liverpool. We might see him go to a club like Arsenal, a club like Manchester United. I think anyone around Europe that's looking for a DM, whether it's Liverpool or Atalanta, who are going to lose Ederson to Liverpool, you've got to look at Mats Vijver. He's such a beautiful DM. So if Arsenal don't introduce the new names like Mats Vijver, it means that Joao Nevez and Youssef Fofana are our 2 concrete options. Fofana is cheaper and it's a doable deal, so won't be surprised. But I won't be surprised if Arsenal at least try to push harder to try and get Joao Nevez. The other reason why I think it's a 50-50% chance is the Partey situation. It's going to really determine what happens with Joao Nevez. If Partey is 100% staying, then Arsenal might be reluctant to go and overpay for Joao Nevez. Obviously, if you're Partey and you have Jorginho right there in the team, it's a bit of we can wait. We can do a bit of a waiting game. But if we lose Partey, and I'm saying if, I'm not saying when. So if we lose Partey, then Arsenal will be pressured into going out in the market to find a suitable replacement. So it's a 50% chance. Let's see what happens out of there. Now, the other targets we know already: Douglas Luiz, Martin Zubimendi, Amadou Onana, Youssef Fofana, Bruno Guimaraes. Those are the other players that Arsenal are looking at in terms of getting this deal. So if we fail to get Joao Nevez, we might turn to Douglas Luiz. Available for 50 million, we are told, before June. Because that means that Villa want to sell before June in order to deal with their FFP situation. I don't know if Arsenal's FFP situation is alright already, but at least that's what we know. Martin Zubimendi, Arsenal backed away from this one, according to Jan Ejfrojo. He calls himself CF Bayern. So if you want to find the story, you can tag him on Twitter. You can look for him on Twitter. It's called CF Bayern. But his name is Jan Ejfrojo. Amadou Onana, is it happening? I don't think so. Youssef Fofana, this one, keep your eyes open on Youssef Fofana. It's one to watch. And Bruno Guimaraes as well. Keep your eyes open on Bruno Guimaraes because Newcastle have to sell. It is also a deal to watch. Now, we come to the conclusion, which is my opinion about Joao Nevez. And these are the 3 statements I'm going to make. 4, not 3. 1, he's a super talent. 2, a rare opportunity, a rare talent. And 3, sign him today. Those are the 3 statements I want to build my opinion on. And lastly, the 4th one is it's a deal that's not happening this summer. Like, I don't see it happen. But why I think for me he's a super talent. We've seen a couple of DMs like arrive on the scene through the years, especially in the last 5 years. Aurelien Tchouameni, brilliant. I think he will form a brilliant best of the midfield for the likes of Camavinga, Valverde, and Jude Bellingham at Real Madrid. We have seen Camavinga himself, if you want to call him a DM. I don't think really he's a DM, but you can call him that if you please. So we've seen the likes of Amadou Onana, come on the scene, can play DM, can play CM. He's played a lot of CM this season with Everton, and we've seen a couple of other players as well in that role. But a player like Joao Nevez, a player that I consider the next Rodri, has not been seen. He tucks in, just like Rodri, shot small. His ball-winning ability is insane. He hunts you down like a mad dog. So, for me, he's a super talent. It's a rare opportunity for such a player to just come up. And usually, in the past, when players like this came up, they usually went to FC Barcelona. They usually went to Real Madrid. So, Arsenal have a rare opportunity to go and sign such a super talent. So get that deal done if you really, really, really have the money, and if you really know you can get it done, Arsenal, please sign him. I don't think there will be any regrets if we sign this boy. So that's everything you need to know about this deal. I've talked about the price, the market value, the release clause. I hope I've done a good job, because we have another everything you need to know coming up today, and that will be on one player you don't expect. So see you there.